Going to start building my partial wall, the niche. Have a look. I have poured cement on top of, well, the wall basically where it was broken open, so that it's all nice and level. And I'm now going to build up a wall with these aerated concrete blocks, and that wall will go all the way up and we'll have a ledge here on this level, of course, here, and then it will form a niche. I'm going to build it up in a conventional way with the glue that is made for these aerated concrete blocks, and then once I start rendering the niche in, I will probably add some mesh, fiberglass mesh, to tie the new back wall with the side wall. Yeah, and hopefully I'll get that built today. Yeah, should be no problem. Concrete has cured enough. You see, I poured the concrete there because it was quite uneven. You're stepping through a wall, so over that bit of wall that was really uneven, and I've squared it off and made it all nice. This was the old entrance, right? This was a ladder, a staircase was going up here and in, and then here were some bedrooms or so. We decided to keep it open. There's already a lintel, so yeah, but our window is not working because we got the fridge right on the other side, and we just couldn't make it work any other way. You see, there's just no point in having a window there. There's been people who suggested to move the fridge from there to here, and then move this cupboard with the extended worktop over there, but I don't want that. I've already explained it before, because I want to keep this wall open and free and not have a big tall fridge there. First of all, it's not nice to look at a fridge, and second of all, it would look like a warehouse, and I don't want that. I want to keep that wall open and keep the fridge over there. Yeah, that's how I want it. Okay, the rendering on the inside here we will do later when we tackle the living room kitchen again. You know, as I've said before, this year we will be dotting many I's and crossing many T's. I have made the house livable for say 80–90%, but these last 10–20% still need to be done. And I want to live in the house first, the big house, in order to find out what I want to have changed and how, instead of finishing it off now and then later finding out that I should have done it in a different way. So no, let's crank on. I can't find my bloody gloves. I left my gloves somewhere and I don't know where, and I'm not working without gloves. If you ever see me without gloves, it's because I have to manage the camera. I'm working here on my own. My neighbors don't speak English. Even the emergency services, their English is a bit iffy. I gotta be really careful, you know. There's not many people I can rely on. So I always have my phone in my pocket, always with me, wherever I go. If I fall down and can't move anymore, I got my phone on me. And I always wear my safety gear, my goggles, my gloves, and everything that's needed to keep safe. Really, I'm not going to take any risks that I don't need to take. All right, now enough talk. Let's just get going with the work. Now let this all cure a couple of days at least, and then I'll give it a treatment with a product that prevents the lime render to be soaked into the stone immediately, the moisture of it. And then after that's dry, we can render it. And then later maybe I'll put some shells in here, or we'll see. I think it's a nice feature. So let's talk a little bit about the design of the roof terrace as I think it's gonna be. I have asked AI to come up with a few options, ideas for a gazebo, because somebody kept calling it gazebo, but it's not a gazebo, it's just a cover. It's just a cover, a frame, I should say, which will be partially covered, in my opinion, as much as possible, with like see-through corrugated plastic plates, sheets. But Nadia wants to be able to see the church from the living room table, where she will have a breakfast and dinner. And I think we can accommodate that, because if I can make this corner here covered, then I've got stuff to store here that can stay dry, and we'll still have the full view. And also I deflect the rainwater a little bit, because I would love to be able to keep those big open patio doors open while it rains. So the idea is, I think I'm going to have to remove this gutter, and I'm going to have to render the whole wall and then reinstall the gutter a little bit higher, because there's still room to go up higher. And if the gutter can go up higher, that means that I've got more headroom and we've got more slope, because in the end, at that wall, I basically only need 2 meters of headroom, just enough for me. So that'll be, it's about well over a foot, maybe even a foot and a half of slope, which will be sufficient. So then I think the most simple plan would be to install a beam on this wall, and from that beam we're going to lead beams out towards the perimeter over there. We're going to get a pole in that corner, and that's going to be the very minimum. So a beam here on the side, and a beam here on the side, sloping down, a beam over there, and then a pole in that corner. And then from that point we can start creating more. We can start creating handrails, spokes, a safety barrier. We can put slats here, so where the corrugated panels will rest on. I think we're going to start with the rendering. I wasn't planning on starting with the rendering, but I think that's smarter. Really a lot smarter to start with that. And then what we've got to keep in mind is the floor plan, because you can't see it from there, but these corners are not 90-degree corners, not at all. See, this is basically the floor plan, the footprint of the terrace. There's no 90-degree corners. There's no straight lines, there's no 90-degree corners, and that is something I've got to keep in my mind all the time, because you can't make any assumptions. Yeah, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna look cool. I'm going to prep for rendering, cover the floor really well, and haul up sand. Ah, lucky I have a second one. I think it just ran out of batteries. Yeah, I measure. These distances are best measured with an electronic measuring device, right? Because a tape measure, you know, it just won't extend that long. It will just bend, right? And you do have very thick ones, but yeah, there's really no way. So I prefer to use a digital one, and because they are not super accurate. I use 2, I have 3 or 4, maybe even. So I used to, this one just ran out of batteries, so I gotta replace those. But yeah, just to verify, I use a second one. 3, 7, 6. 3. So yesterday I have completed the rendering of the wall. Maybe you can see it. God, it's really summer, huh? The sun is really coming out, it's warm. I have to make some arrangements for the chooks to stay cool. And it sometimes becomes a bit hard to work. You see the dark spots, that's still to dry up. I've done a second or a third coat there. That's gonna take days and days to cure. That's yeah, I would say probably around a month or so to cure. I mean, if you look at the wall that I've done, it's already 2 weeks ago. There you still see a big color difference between the lower part and the higher part, and that's purely because of curing moisture. Now I try to not get a very even coloring, because I don't want it to look too mechanical, too sterile. I wanna have several colors, you know. I wanna have it a bit patchy. It's gotta look old. It's gotta look just like the church, you know. Yeah, that's what we're after. But that's not very difficult. That's just mixing a little bit more lime in or a little bit less lime in with a batch. Yeah, then you get a color difference, but we'll really see the final result later on once it's cured. Now, for now, I wasn't going to work today. It's a public holiday here, and I've got such a muscle ache everywhere on my body because rendering is heavy, especially when you're not really set up like I am. I mean, ideally you have your concrete mixer going and you have your wheelbarrow and you scoop from the wheelbarrow and you bring it onto the wall, but I have to carry everything up 2 stairs onto the terrace there and then mix it by a little hand mixer, because I don't want to use the concrete mixer here with the chickens running around. Yeah, it's just hard work. It's just physically hard if you're doing it by yourself. It's really a 2-man job, at least. But anyway, I do want to do something. I do want to have that single horizontal beam installed today, and this I've been thinking about because these beams of wood are oak and they're bloody heavy, and how am I going to keep it in position while I secure it in the wall? What I'm going to do is very simple. I am going to screw brackets in that lintel and lay the beam on it, and then I can take my time and drill in the beam, through the beam, into the wall to make the fasteners to the wall. So I'm just going to get my 6 feet bubble gauge and use that while I screw strong brackets onto the lintel. These beams are really heavy. They are oak. They're really heavy. And I don't know how I can support the beams that aren't immediately secured. I mean, yeah, okay. We got that one against the wall. That's secured. Then we got this side beam up. That's also secured. It's secured on the beam on the wall, and also somewhere here against that wall. But then the rest of the structure is not going to be supported, right? This is all open. Eventually the beam that's going to be here and here are going to be resting on a pole that's not there yet in the corner. And I can't position that pole there even with temporary supports, because I have no space to put the temporary supports. So what I'm thinking is I have battens. I have like fairly cheap, inexpensive wood laying downstairs that I'll use for another project later on. But I think I should take these out and use them as temporary supports, just nailed in to in a fast and efficient way, provide temporary supports to the oak structure that I'm going to put up before I can properly secure the oak. I think that's the only way. I've been thinking long and hard about this, how to do all this, but I don't see any. I've only got 2 hands, right? And this is one of the real challenges of doing a project like this by yourself. You know, you only got two hands. Yeah, let me get out that other wood and see how I can utilize that to provide temporary quick support. Whoa. Bought myself a nice new toy. That's not really a toy, is it? It is the largest circular saw that I could just buy off the shelf from the local DIY shop, because my old trusted Makita started smoking a bit too much. I pushed that one a bit too hard recently. Now this one is a 2000 watt machine with a saw blade of 235 mm, which is the largest you can get really off the shelf here. I hope this one will last. I'm not really familiar with this brand, Far Tools. I'm going to make the railing out of 3 sections. So first a railing, and then spokes of rebar, a top railing on top of the rebar, and then a cap rail on top of that. I don't know whether that makes sense. Quite difficult to understand the way I explain it, but it's in here, the design. And I really want to have the railings bent, sort of outward bent. You can see here, these 3 beams here are going to be the railing on this side, the short side. And then here on the floor I have 3 sections of railing that are going to be on the long side. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to install the lower part of the railing low to the wall, slightly above the wall, and then the middle section of the railing goes on top of that. And then I'm going to drill holes in the middle section where the spokes of rebar are going to fit through. And then I'll glue the top part, the cap rail, on top of that one. And then the spokes are caught between the lower part and the middle part, which was... this is just not going to make any sense. I just got to show you while I do it. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is it for this week, because I gotta edit this episode and upload it. I really would like to thank all of you for watching, and a massive thank you to the people below. They make it possible for me to keep making those videos, because I'm not making any money on it, and the coffees are basically paying for the expenses that I have with this vlog. Yeah, well, I also get a lot back from you guys, I must say. I work by myself 90% of the time, and it's not always that easy to get out of bed and get started with things. But then I know that if I don't, and I don't have an episode ready, I get a lot of complaints from you guys. So you guys do help me a lot just by watching and commenting and liking and sharing. But still, an extra special thanks to the people who have donated coffees. Right, so for next week, yeah, I'm probably gonna finish this. Railings in place, roof in place. Yeah, I will need to work on the lights on the wall. It's gonna look really cute, and maybe some hanging lights and plants, and yeah, dress it up a little, huh? Oh, exciting! It's really nice, really nice. All right, guys, thank you, and see you next week. Bye now.